The reason your Amazon sales are stuck, or even worse, declining, is not random. Amazon built a $1 billion algorithm to promote the right things and make the sales on its platform mathematical and predictable. And sadly, when I see most brands trying to fix it, they're fixing the wrong thing and they're wasting their time. My name is Jassim Isa. I'm the CEO and founder of Voadera, $100 million Amazon e-commerce marketplace company. And in this video, I'm going to show you the two things that contribute to larger Amazon sales, how and where to fix it within each one, and the 4 levers that are needed to actually propel your sales and grow them further. The first reason your Amazon sales are stuck is that your current portfolio of products isn't generating enough sales. I want to address a quick disclaimer right off the bat. I see a lot of people coming to me where they're saying their TAM for their product is not enough. This is 99% not the case. The market is much bigger than you think it is. The simplest way you can do is, for example, let's just say, I like using this right here, this mug right here, right? If I just go to Amazon and I'm selling, let's say, a mug, I just write a water mug or whatever, or coffee or work mug or whatever, and I can go to the top seller, and within, I think, over the last year and a half, Amazon started saying like X units sold in the last month. And you can just see within that, there's obviously more sophisticated tools, Keepa, Data Dive, Helium 10. But just off that, you can see what your top competitors are doing. Now, if you're the number one there, let's say I do actually have a friend, he says he sells a very niche product. It's like, I'm not going to share it because I helped him grow a few things. I don't want a million people joining him. But he sells a very niche product where it's for the medical industry. It's very specific. And we typed in the keyword for his product. And once we typed it in, we noticed that the number one was him, was 500 plus units sold in the last month. And then there was like a number 2, 3, 4. They were all 50 units sold in the last month. So within this guy's industry, there was 3 or 4 other people. He had already 80 to 90% of the entire market sales, just because of how niche it was. So whatever we did, even if we got 100%, it was an extra couple grand in revenue, top line. So the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. So yes, in that case, it is possible. But that's just how to quickly address. 90% of the time, it's not a TAM issue, but that's just something I want to quickly address, just to move that limiting mindset out of the way. There's only 4 levers you can really pull to grow sales on Amazon. The first one is impressions. This includes paid impressions, organic impressions. The second one is CTR, the click-through rate. The third one is CVR, conversion rate. And last but definitely not least is LTV, lifetime value. I made another video details about this. I'll attach it at the end, but I want to get into it. Is usually the biggest mistake I see brands make is they're always working on the thing they either enjoy the most or they have the talents for. So for example, if they have no one on SEO, right? They only have a creative team. They're only updating the main image, maybe the secondary images, but they're never fixing the main title. And the main title contributes heavily towards the click-through rate. They have to put the UVP in the beginning, all that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that you're not one of those brands that's just working on what's convenient or what you have the resources for. Rather, you're working on what's the constraint for your business. And now how to address the constraints. So I'll walk into the 2 easiest ones to find, mathematically proven to find the constraints for, CTR and CVR, right? So CTR is click-through rate. You can go to search query performance, shows both. So it shows entire market share for each keyword, how much purchase click share rate for your product and your against the market, and also shows the conversion rate for you against the market. Amazon is very generous now providing this data, and you can also use third-party softwares that go into that, but we have our own internal tools that we use to measure this. But you can go straight to Amazon source, search query performance, and you can see how many click-through rate you're getting compared to the market. Now, usually what you'd like to see, if the market average, so it shows you the average for the market, you want to be at least above it. If you're below the click-through rate or under the conversion rate, then you know that's where your constraint is, and that's what you have to focus on. And then once you find where your constraint is, you do the specific actions required to improve that. So for example, if you have, let's say, the market conversion rate, and we had this with one of our products, it was in the beauty category. The conversion rate was, for our product, was 24%, and for the market it was 20%. So we're actually much higher than the median for the market. So we knew that organically we should be ranked much higher. We weren't. So that's when we realized that we had an issue with our click-through rate, and we realized that our title was poorly constructed. It didn't there was stuff that was mentioned in the second and third images about the health of the materials, and especially the speed of resolution. So our competitors, it would take 10 hours for the formula to have an impact. For us, it was more of like 4 hours. So we started adding that to the title, we started adding that to the main image, and the serving size of ours was bigger. So we started front loading that to the main image or the title, the beginning of the title, because that's what shows on mobile, the first 60 to 90 characters. And then we see in our click-through rate, we were approximately 4%, but the market was 6%. We went up to 6.5, 7%. And that alone, obviously, almost tripled the product sales. So it was doing approximately $30,000 to $40,000 a month. Now it's doing $80,000 to $90,000 a month. Obviously not immediately. It took some time to teach the Amazon algorithm, but it was eventually, we seen the impact trickle in. And I fed into it. The cool thing about fixing that is that it also feeds the Amazon algorithm that there's a healthy customer journey. So also improves organic ranking. So this is where you're seeing that constraint in there. So again, you mentioned CTR, CVR. If those are the two main ones that you can mathematically see, and Amazon now shares the data with you, SQP. Now, if both of those are above the market, right, and each one has different areas on how to improve them. So just taking a step back. So for CVR, the way to improve is obviously what's post to click. So the product detail page, secondary images, the video, a little bit points a bit, premium A+ content, all that kind of stuff. If your conversion rate is lagging, that's where you want to focus. If your CTR is lagging behind the market, then it's two main things: main image and its title. There's other things that impact it as well, obviously reviews, ratings, but you don't control those as much. You want to get to the stuff you can control the most. And usually CTR is the lowest hanging fruit. So we fix it, you see results the fastest. CVR, it's the longest, most impactful, and because eventually if you fix it, Amazon sees more customer ranking. It's the best one over the long term to improve your organic ranking. It's just a slower feedback loop sometimes. But the point is, that's how to address those ones. There's obviously price, reducing your price, again, per click-through rate, conversion rate. That's some of the obvious stuff. Sometimes you need to artificially lower it until you get a bestseller badge or Amazon Choice badge, and then you can take it out. Those are more advanced strategies that I get into also in the other videos that I mentioned. Now, if those are both above market trend, then you can assume that your impressions are not there. So now organic impressions, how do you influence that on Amazon? So organic, technically, you're increasing. If you advertise on TikTok, Meta, Google, you can drive that traffic towards Amazon, and Amazon rewards off Amazon traffic, specifically coming from TikTok, very, very heavily. But technically that's still paid. So, but can you influence organic traffic on Amazon? Not directly, right? That's an indirect way. Now, the one you can influence, obviously, is paid traffic on Amazon. So usually when we see that our click-through rate and conversion rate is above market standards, usually 2% higher than the delta. So let's say the conversion rate is 20 and we're at least 22% and above. Then we pour a lot of money into that keyword. We develop a SKC, single keyword campaign, and eventually feed it into Amazon. So that's how we can improve sales for that. So again, each one has a different aspect for it. If both of those are above market, I'm not going to spend time redoing my images and split testing, A/B testing, and spending thousands of dollars on additional creative or establishing videos when my constraint lies in their impressions. And I'm going to send the team to address that. So that's the primary concept that I try to reiterate to the team. And then going down to LTV, this one's a huge one. You can increase it through AOV. You can do bundle, case packs, all that kind of stuff. But then you also add SNS coupons. I made an entire video on increasing LTV that I'll also attach at the end, or you can find in the description. But this is a very important concept as well. The second way to increase Amazon sales is obviously releasing more products, bringing more of your portfolio on Amazon, or releasing things from scratch. Now, how have we supported our partners doing this? We have a lot of partners. For example, one of the partners we have, they're in the pet industry. We did two things with them. These are the two common ways, obviously. One, you release additional variations. So this includes sizes. For them, it was different types to attract similar avatars. So, for example, let's say one was for large dogs, the other one was for cats, right? So we released variations of the size of the item to be able to attract both customers because the product was so good. So sometimes the downside effect of this is that you see cannibalization. So another example, we have a electrolyte company that we helped. We took them from approximately 20K a month in sales, 200K in sales, and most of it was released based on product development. what we did is we had initially a lemonade flavor, and then we released other flavors, so like black tea or whatever. Some of these flavors sucked. We had to downsize them. But the other issue is that the flavors that released, sometimes they cannibalize the original one. So the original one, when it was on its own, it was doing 800 units sold a month. But then when you added other ones, it went down to 500. But the overall parent SKU went from approximately 800, like I mentioned, when it was the only SKU, to now it's doing 1600 or 1700. It was this, yes, the main hero SKU went down, but the overall absolute SKUs went up. And that's obviously the primary metric that we're focused on with brands. So that's one of the downsides to be aware of. And obviously, the second one is looking at your customer avatar, understanding them really well, interviewing them. What else do they need? What kind of products? How can you maybe do an upgraded version? That's besides variation, that's kind of doing a different entry. So, for example, in this version, what we did is we had some of our customers like, yeah, it's great for electrolytes when added to my drink, but also want something that I drink in the morning. I drink coffee. Is there a way I can make one that's malleable with coffee? And we did that and released it, and it did really well in that case as well. So we did like a coffee electrolyte version, organic, all the UVPs, but that product exploded because we understood the customer so well. We surveyed it with them, and we understood what the market needed. And we did the analysis on the search volume for that new entry. Is there a market existing there? All those variables, we took them into account. As you're releasing new products, you just have to think of your customer's journey. You have to think what they're buying after you're buying your product, what they're buying before. Like, for example, they're drinking the electrolyte water at night. In the morning, they're drinking electrolyte coffee. They still want to use it, right? Cross-selling, upselling, downselling. How can you gain more of the customer's journey, the customer spend throughout their day, because they already love your brand, they want more of it. And then obviously once you release that new product, you go back to the original one. We go back to point one, is growing the sales of that product, the 4 levers. Which one do you need? Which one are you missing? Ensuring that everything lies within that. All in all, Amazon isn't a slot machine or like a lottery machine. You can't, oh, this guy got lucky with the product. That's very, very, very rare. Yeah, it does happen once in a blue moon. It's usually a predictable algorithm machine that there's levers that you have to hit. You have to reverse engineer what you need to get to, and you'll find success that way.